Come up, you're in Grand or Garnett? Grand, good. Take Grand up to get on the 5. You know how to do that? Okay, and then take 5 south. And then get on 8 east. And you're just going to be on that for like less than 5 miles. And then you're going to take the 163 south. 163, right. Right. First off-ramp is University. And go left on University. Yeah, you're right in the middle of the gay part of town when you get off on the freeway there. And the 7th light should be Park Boulevard. Make a right. If you go under the bridge, you've gone too far. Five south, 8 east to 163 south. And we're right on the right-hand side on Park Boulevard, and you can't miss us. We have a huge neon sign on the roof. Alrighty? Bye.
And just like you would imagine in the storybooks of yesteryear, those seedy downtown bars and the dark streets with you don't really have a name on the door. You gotta know exactly where it's at. Look for the red light, or something blue light or whatever it was. I think it was a red. It actually was a red light.
God, you know what? I don't know where it was anymore. It's been so built up here. It's gone. Not even a trace. I think they must have torn down the building because it had been something else before it was a lesbian bar. I don't even think there's a trace of it anymore. It was someplace around here.
We used to call this over here Gay Denny's because you'd go to Diablo's and you'd roll down the hill at 2 o'clock in the morning and go to Denny's. Gay Denny's on your right. I don't know if it's so gay anymore.
You remember the box office down near the post office? That's why I thought it was the post office. Where the post office is now, where that motel is.
Downtown or the?
No, right here on Waring Road.
Oh yeah.
We used to go there with Pat.
We used to go there. Yeah. Oh yeah. That closed
kind
too.
Of a neighborhood bar.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was the apartment. Although it wasn't open like that. It just had that center door, and it was never this crowded. I can't remember it being this crowded. I remember coming down here on Sunday afternoons and just sort of hanging out at the bar.
And I just happened to be sitting out front that day. It must have just opened, it was early afternoon. I was reading one of the flicks, one of the papers.
There you are.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I says, God, yeah, that is very special. I've had it for quite a few years, many years for that matter.
Right up the street, this is in Pacific Beach, Mission Beach, there was a women's bar called the Matador. And for years it was a women's bar. Today it belongs to men, basically frequent it. But the woman that owned that bar's name was Chicky, and she was married to another woman, and they had a son, and it was very Midwesternish.
Yeah. Well, the few bars that I went to Menopause Meadows. Do you remember that? The Matador.
What's it called? The Matador.
The Matador in Pacific Beach.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's still there or not.
What used to be the Griffin, it's now it was the Shadows for a while, and now it's the North Park Country Club. But it was the Griffin. It was a beer bar, and rough.
And there was a bar right down the street called Sereno's that opened up after Diablo's closed down. And of course, that was the next new bar in town. And for the next year, it was filled and packed almost every night of the week because it was an old ballroom dancing floor bar. It wasn't like a bar. It was beautiful and classy and elegant.
There were all of these funny stories about it, that it was like owned by the mafia, and they didn't mind making money on gay people, and that we'd be welcome there.
It's a beer wine bar up here on corner of Park and Adams. That just used to be a softball place, Sunday night thing.
A different building, but this is where Diablo's was.
Diablo's, Wild Turkey, and Donna Summer. Disco.
It wasn't so much dangerous and rough as it was trashy. In fact, some of us used to call it the toilet. We're going to the toilet tonight, you know.
It was just like this storefront, little corner in the dark street kind of joint. And when I got out of the car, I saw a lot of women standing outside. So I'm thinking, oh, I guess it really is ladies' night out. And I had no idea it was a lesbian bar until I got inside and noticed that there were no other people in there but women.
The club, and that was on the corner of Laurel and Kettner. It's gone through several changes. It became the Bulk now, and after that a friend of mine bought it and became partners, and I helped manage that one. Now the Casbah from up the street moved into it, so it's predominantly heterosexual. So that little site, that little corner's gone through some changes.
That's one thing that hasn't changed. The planes always came over the club and would rattle us while we were in there talking. But it was a place called Lily's, and it was owned by Sarah Thompson and I can't recall the other woman's name. Two women who were partners together. I think Sarah's still in town somewhere. It didn't last very long, less than a year, I think. But it was at a time when there was a lot of camaraderie for women to support a women's business. I think it was the first place that was owned by somebody in the community and tried to be more like a community space. It was definitely an all-women's bar. And I think maybe it was this place called. This might have been it. It's hard to tell.
Fabulous new place, everybody was on their lips, called The Flame. And the flame came out from some flame. And it's been there for years. It became one of the local hot spots. It's now internationally known, good, bad, or indifferent. It's one of the #1 bars here in San Diego.
So I think it's like maybe the 12th year, 14th year, somewhere around in that. It's just become very old hat. But it was like, the opening was huge. People actually came in limos. I mean, it was something that people looked forward to and talked about. And even when we went to, when you'd go to another place and you'd say you were from San Diego, they'd go, oh, the Flame is there. That's a great bar.
And then it became, during the Second World War, it was a big hot spot. It was a lot of military guys. Navy Hospital was down the street. And it was, I've talked to a lot of old guys who will come in here that remember this bar from, those days, and people have had wedding receptions here. And it was a steak joint, a big bourbon place. It was it was a guy place.
It was built by a guy who always wanted to have a jazz bar. And he opened it up as a jazz bar in 1962. A year later decided he didn't want to run a bar and leased the bar out to Louis Arco, who owns a lot of men's bars in town. And he made it a men's bar. It was called The Swing. When he sold it, it was called The Different Drum. When they sold it, it was Libido's. It was a men's bar from 1963 until I bought it in 1989.
It's the place to go on Friday if you're a gay woman. And you want to be with other gay people. You want to be with other Latina lesbians, other lesbians in general. That's where you go.
The Flame and Bombay are basically the only 2 lesbian clubs in San Diego.
I laugh at it now. I mean, it kind of made us all pissed off and made us feel like we kind of weren't able to direct our own lives as much as we wanted to. And that men had so much of everything. And they felt like, well, they worked like dogs to get everything. Why shouldn't they have everything? And they never thought that it would be a good idea to share it with us because, like, what was the benefit? Fred opens this bar and the women go in and we're happy for 2 months and then we say, let's change it. Let's make it more womanly. And we don't like those paintings and, you know, the bathroom doesn't have enough stalls and it's this and it's that. Here we were, but of course, what else were we to do? It's sort of like when lesbians used to go out to some little place for coffee and desserts and things after some big event. There would be like 10 of us and we'd all come in at once. And we'd look around and say, oh, all the tables need to move together. So we'd be moving tables together, putting chairs around, and all the waiters would be saying, who are these women? They just come in and take over the space and make it their own and everything. And of course, that was one of our favorite things to say, well, we can go somewhere and make our space and somebody else's space, public space, we'll make it our space and all of that. It was all about space. It was cool.
Making a movie.
What about what?
About the history of lesbian bars in San Diego.
That's cool.
Yeah, not a movie, but she's doing a
Yeah, a
project.
documentary.
Yeah.
A documentary about it?
Penny, Penny,
Documentary about it? That's cool.
can I have a Coke, please? And yeah.
Well, that's good though. That's a good thing to talk about. They need that. They need more of that because you don't really hear about that. See, that's what it is.
It was probably like the Christians in the catacombs, you know. It was like everybody out there was against us, and we would go into this little dark place that was a bar and find each other and become friends and care about each other.
About whether I noticed whether the bars were integrated or not.
Racially.
Racially,
Not what
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I never noticed.
You probably wouldn't.
So the color thing struck my mind, and I won't ever forget that. At the same time, I was just happy to be around so many women who were having fun, even though they were doing their own little thing. It was just nice to be in an environment where you could just be free and just relax. And the Flame and Bombay are basically the only 2 lesbian clubs in San Diego.
Welcome to the world famous Flame.
Welcome to Club Bombay.
Thanks.
You're welcome, Kaucyila. Why don't we go in and take a little tour?
show me around?
Sure, I'd love to. Come on in.
It's very sexy too. I mean, to see all these women dancing together, it's like, you know.
Clubs were very strict. We weren't allowed to touch each other. We weren't allowed to dance slow dances. Therefore, DJs were not allowed to play, or theoretically, it was an unspoken law. You don't play slow music because you don't want to encourage people to slow dance.
It's a first date, you know.
And then
We just kissed and touched a little bit.
But we've been together ever since then.
Yeah.
And the next day we met and we had breakfast and
At the gay Denny's.
It's backing up. Hi. Is this your place?
Yeah.
You work here? Do you know, did this used to be a place called the Box Office, a lesbian bar?
Yeah.
Oh, it was. It was the Box Office.
You've been here before?
A long time ago.
Okay.
Normally here would be Bear, who's famous. She's been here 9 years, greeting everybody at the door, putting them through their paces. This is the Long Bar. Usually this first station is presided over by the marvelous Marina, who's the best bartender west of the Mississippi.
When you walk in to the Flame and come around the corner and walk past the bar, you got, you know, people doing the pickup thing. Hi, honey, can I buy you a drink? You're looking good today. You know, that whole little spiel is going on around the bar scenes.
As you can see, the bar is set up. There's one big room, so you can sit at the bar, you sit around the bar, you can see everybody else in the bar, which is a very cool thing for cruising.
Because I think if they were cruising, they like usually stood by the dance floor or along the wall. You know how the mirrors along the back, I mean the side wall as you walk back to the dance floor go, because then everyone has to walk by you.
So, and there were a lot of mirrors, you know, there were a lot of mirrors in the Flame. So we would have to be very careful about where we stole our kisses.
Men's bars don't usually have a lot of seating because guys are moving around, kind of checking each other out, doing that eyeball kind of a thing, you know?
Well, women really need more of a place to sit and kind of talk to each other and get to know each other.
In this bar, when I bought this bar, they had those kind of bar stools that were bolted to the floor, and the seats swiveled and everything. And I had to rip them out. They were nice, they had backs on them and they swiveled, but you can't move them. Lesbians won't do that. You want to sit close, or you want to, you can't have chairs that won't move, so they had to go.
Are you cramped in? Do you want, should we move over a little bit?
I think probably.
Better the other way.
Wait, my foot's stuck. Okay.
But this is the Mississippi room, and this was Sereno's. Yeah, it was nice, yeah.
Really nice.
They didn't have the carpet in and stuff like that, but it was nice. I mean, compared to Diablo's, it was nice. In fact, that's where they had the DJ. They always had a million gay people working here, and it's always very gay friendly. But like I say, the Travelodge just bought the building, and we don't really know anybody who works here anymore, but we will. These things take time.
It was hard to find Asian women, and the way we would network is we just bring a bunch of flyers to the bars, and if we saw someone who looked Asian, we'd approach them and say, "Excuse me, would you like to come to our Women Asian Social Support Group?" And they'd take the flyer, or else they'd say, "No, I'm not Asian."
Caucasian people kind of stayed to this side, and some Mexican people are in the middle. And it's like the black people are over here on the left side. And
We call it the dark side and the sunny side. And the dark side is usually all along the, as you're walking into the flame and you're headed out to the dance floor.
The Africanos, most of the time, the black people are at the dance floor.
Yeah.
You know, and the
because tables around the dance floor.
Yeah, because they fucking know how to dance, and the Latinos are pretty much, they're all over the place.
Yeah. The white dykes are playing pool.
Yeah.
In the flame, the white dykes are playing pool. Or sitting.
I would sit by the pool tables because it was well lit. Yeah, the tall tables up there. You know, I would sit under the Marilyn, no, it was a Madonna print or something, because it was well lit there. And I would just write.
It's our dance floor, pool table. We have pool league here, dart league and everything, but the pool
I mean, Bombay, I think, is more, in general, appeals more to a white crowd, because it doesn't seem as mixed as I've seen other bars. It's probably more like the Box Office.
Music wasn't mixed. So if you don't play the music, then people don't come.
The women's room has 6 toilets in it. You know, that was a major feat. I had 4 male partners originally when I opened. It took a lot of time to get them to understand that that was really important to have that, you know.
Yeah, you don't have to worry if somebody's going to stop you while you're on the way to the women's restroom.
The women's bathroom was larger. It had like an outside waiting area. It had a mirror, you know, and a little counter. Then the inside bathroom was so small, it only had room for 1 toilet and a sink. So you really couldn't squeeze.
The cops were always around somewhere, and that they would come in and shut the whole place down because sex was happening in the bathrooms.
We only have 2 stalls in here, and if there's 2 people in a bathroom, they're either doing drugs or they're going to be in there for an hour doing whatever they're doing. So if you just have 1 in there, they move faster. You know, they bring their girlfriend to the bathroom, they get comfortable. Too comfortable. This is the mixed bathroom. 2 urinals, 1 toilet. And men and women line up for this bathroom, and the men will go in there and use the toilet, use the urinals with the women standing right there. Usually the women will make the guy, "You ain't getting out of here without washing your hands." So it's a good thing. It's true. Now we're heading out to the patio.
I like the patio at Bombay. Patio's nice. Sunday barbecue at Bombay's nice.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, $1 hamburgers and chips and $2 for all the tap beer you can drink.
Really?
For 2.5 hours, 3 hours, something like that.
I didn't know that.
When? You didn't know that?
Wow,
Sunday, 4 o'clock. You didn't know that? Man, you gotta get a job next door to Bombay.
I'm working and can't make it.
Today we're having a white trash barbecue?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are we having?
Well, we have hot dogs and hamburgers, turkey
Frankston hamburgers and cheeseburgers today.
Wow.
It's like such a weird business owning a lesbian bar, you know, trying to keep everybody happy, and you know, there's so many. It's like this really weird hybrid thing about being a business and being some kind of social service agency or something. You know, everyone sees this as like some kind of a community entity.
This is their space?
Yeah, women do feel like this is their space, their bar.
Let me interview you. I don't know, maybe I'm ready to become a barfly again. Or for the first time. I've been rethinking the whole thing since I've been doing this project, actually.